Just out time to get away. We're back southbound now on Prairie, still in the Torrance area. And if the suspect continues here, could try to get back on the freeway. But it looks like at this point in time, we'll be able to tell once this turn is made. Got a green light, made a left turn, and now there's the on-ramp back onto the 405. And sure enough, we're staying on the 405 freeway. We're going to be 405 freeway northbound, and we do have an LA County Sheriff unit overhead at the moment. It's actually the 405 freeway southbound ramp. And now, if it's anything like what we saw earlier, we're going to see some extremely high speeds with this vehicle on the freeway, well over 100 miles an hour. There's not much traffic in front of this individual. For the moment, the individual has somewhat lost the undercover vehicle. I can see it. You don't see it in your shot. But we've seen some extremely high rates of speed, and we don't see anything in the way of traffic right now. In between here, it looks like down through Carson and almost into Long Beach. Can't quite see that far, but it gives you an idea. It's on a stretch of freeway where the suspect can continue to travel at a very high rate of speed. The patrol unit behind him is so difficult to track because it's a black SUV and it blends in with all the other vehicles, is traveling basically at the same speed. So this unit of the LA County Sheriff's Department really wants this guy. It does not appear at this point in time they're going to go to surveillance mode, at least for now. The driver, or I should say the sheriff's deputy in the unmarked vehicle, is traveling at the same rate of speed as a suspect that you see swerving in and out of traffic here on the 405 freeway. Well over 100 miles an hour, an extremely dangerous situation when a suspect is willing to swerve in and out of traffic at these types of speed. If you've not seen, look at that. Oh boy, close call there, getting back into the carpool lane. And when the suspect is not seen by other motorists, you can see extremely bad accidents in a situation like this. It's such a high rate of speed. Even the unmarked vehicle is having a hard time finding them. That's slow up here. It looks like the suspect is getting off of the 405 freeway. This may be Western or Normandy. I think it might be Normandy. And it looks like it's going to make a north or southbound turn here. The suspect now, I believe, is going to be traveling southbound on Normandy. And we'll have an idea here in a moment whether or not the patrol car or the unmarked vehicle was able to catch up with the suspect. We're off the freeway onto surface streets. Normandy is a pretty wide street. You can see some pretty good speeds on Normandy here. 190th, coming up on 190th at the moment, and waiting for other units to respond. Looks like there he's getting out of the vehicle. It's a foot bail. And in situations like this, the helicopter overhead, the vehicle is still moving. Suspect's trying to walk slowly, try and make it look like he's not the suspect, maybe just a pedestrian, as the vehicle comes to a stop there and hits that pole possibly. The suspect, I believe, is behind the tree, walking slowly. There's an air unit overhead. They'll have units here in a moment to try and take the suspect into custody. That's a sky zone. It's unclear whether he may have gone into that building or not. I wasn't able to really tell, but they do have a helicopter overhead. And the patrol unit with the unmarked unit was behind the suspect, has not pulled up yet, traveling at such a high rate of speed. It was really hard for an unmarked vehicle to travel at those rates of speed because people didn't see that vehicle either, the unmarked gang unit. Not sure if that's the suspect. I don't believe so. I believe the suspect had a dart and try and get the suspect into custody. More than likely, the sheriff's unit has him in sight.
Scott, this is Philip Palmer joining you. The woman in the person in the orange was a witness. You could see them get on the phone because the suspect was dressed all. Nope. You know what? Did he put a jacket on? Because initially he was all black and walking away, but it did. I thought he had gone in behind these other that other house right under that Jacoby Myers sign there. That did not look like the suspect unless they had an orange jacket with them.
Go off to the right a little bit, right in there. There's somebody just walking nonchalantly back towards the curb. You know, when the suspect decided to walk out, Philip, and not make a run for it, obviously just trying to serve as somewhat of a decoy and walk towards that sky zone, may have even went inside. It's unclear, and they just didn't have patrol cars right behind him. That's the unmarked unit right there. And you can imagine how hard it is for this unit to travel on the freeway well over 100 miles an hour and try and keep the suspect in that vehicle in sight, because people don't see that vehicle coming either like they would a patrol car. For the moment, we've lost him. Now, LA County Sheriff has a helicopter overhead. More than likely, they followed the suspect, and they probably have a good idea where that suspect is, either inside the structure or went towards the gas station. But you do see now, Philip, a lot more units are pouring in.
Well, and for when I just was watching your signal, it did look like the person in the orange was there, but they have the same type of build as the other person, and that person was on the phone. So it made me think that, oh, that's much more similar. That
There's
person.
the other. That truck is an unmarked vehicle.
They're not going to let people just leave the area at this point.
Are the gang unit from the sheriff's department.
Yeah, they're not going to let people just start driving out of this area at that point, right?
No. No, and if you're right about one of those, go back in if you would for a second, Marcel. If you're right about one of those individuals, the woman in the orange top or the other man there being the suspect, they're going to keep them until they identify whether or not they could be. I have a suspicion that they were following this individual, and they know who the individual is because we got unmarked gang unit vehicles pursuing them. So more than likely, they really know who this is, and they'll be able to identify that it's not one of those two. So they're pulling away, and that does not appear to be the case. So the suspect may have gone inside the Sky Zone there. You know, Sky Zone, I believe, is one of those jumpies, have a bunch of trampolines. Whether they're open right now or not, it's unclear, but you can see more units are pouring in.
Yeah, and it was somewhat deliberate in the way that the suspect pulled over at this location, and then that's when he decided to get out. And as you mentioned, Scott, I don't know if we have that able to re-rack, but he just, even though he unceremoniously kind of dumped himself out onto the street, he very casually got up and walked away as if this was his intent, was to go to this space.
That's very possible, or he just did not want to draw attention to himself. He got out of the vehicle and said, you know, if you make a run for it, you know, bystanders are going to see you, and they're going to say, hey, what's going on? That guy's running, and then see the patrol car, and they may say, hey, he went that way. It's unclear exactly what his intention was, if he knows this area, he went into the Sky Zone, or if the suspect was just thinking, I'm going to take a walk through this area. Since he could see behind him, he could tell that there were no units behind him. He was traveling at such a high rate of speed, the other unmarked vehicles from the sheriff's department really couldn't keep up with him safely. Whether or not, I'm not sure what kind of business this is, a gas station on the bottom of the screen. Whether he went down into the gas station, it's unclear. They did have a helicopter overhead, so hopefully they have some sort of idea it's in the gas station or in the Sky Zone. Yeah,
it seems as if that sheriff's helicopter has been right above the whole time. And I think you mentioned that earlier, that this person, they had eyes on him very early on. So it's going to be tough if he did get into that building. That's a large area to have to sweep. Scott, that vehicle, that SUV that's right there in the parking lot of Sky Zone, it's almost parked at an angle. It seemed as if somebody was trying to leave that parking lot when they pulled that one right there. Oh, no, they're in a parking spot. But there was a black SUV that was trying to drive out, and I couldn't tell if they actually got out or if they just completely blocked that space in. You haven't seen anybody depart that area yet, have you?
We have not seen a vehicle depart here. JJ was asking me a question. It's 190th and Normandy. That's the intersection here. Excuse me, of Western. 190th and Western. That's the intersection. We didn't see a vehicle pop out. We followed the vehicle for a moment when the suspect went behind a tree, the vehicle the suspect was driving, and he walked away from because it rolled for a bit. It looks like they may believe that the suspect is inside the Sky Zone. It's a pretty big structure. Open up a little bit, if you would, Marcel. You can see off to the left, they've shut down even a little bit more. You've got patrol units now searching the grass alongside of the 405 freeway there. Then there's a portion of 190th they've shut down, and now Western in this area. So it's unclear if they have them barricaded inside the Sky Zone. It doesn't look like they're concerned about the gas station at all. So at this point in time, they don't believe that the suspect is there. But it doesn't look like they know for sure he's in the Sky Zone. So if they knew that, I don't think you'd see the search outside the structure as much as we're seeing. So they think they're going to have to clear it because they don't know. But that leads me to believe that the helicopter overhead also lost track of that suspect, or else they have a lot better direction on where to go. But I do believe that this suspect was under surveillance. When you see that many unmarked gang unit patrol cars, or gang unit vehicles, I should say, more than likely they've been surveilling this individual. And then during a robbery, he was a robbery suspect according to the initial information. He took off and fled, and it was the gang units that were right behind him.
Well, it did. Again, this was from what I could see in your shot at the very beginning when he walked out. I feel like I saw a person in the orange jacket on the phone almost immediately, as if that person happened to be, when we saw them walking away. So if that was the case, they might have a good indication as to where he ran. And if you combine it with sheriffs and whatever that person said, that might have also given them some identification, because there were people in that area that very possibly could have talked to Deputies. I just couldn't tell if the person in the orange was with him or already in that parking lot when they first pulled up.
Yeah, they've already talked to the woman, I think, in the orange, and they didn't seem to be interested in her. Like I said, I have a feeling that they know who the suspect is. But if we open up a little bit wider, what I see right now is they don't know where the suspect is.
Yeah.
If they thought he was inside the sky zone, if the helicopter would have saw him go inside the sky zone, they would be just surrounding the sky zone. But right now, they are searching the bushes. They're talking to witnesses who may have seen him. There's a parking lot they're looking at. They're looking at a row of trees. They're shutting down Western and a portion of 190th. So it leads me to believe, at least for right now, they don't know where the suspect is.
True. And my concern at first when he got in there was that for some reason he might be carjacking someone and try to get another vehicle and take off. It does look like there's a van parked in the parking lot, but not in any spaces there to the left, almost as if they're just in position trying to block things off.
Marcel was able to re-rack this. We're going to play it for you here real quick. This is the end, I believe, where he gets out of the vehicle. So here's on 190th, and right here he's going to slow down, and then he's going to just slowly walk away from the vehicle and let the vehicle roll. Now, we followed these in a black shirt. He had a black top, black hat, blue jeans, and we lost him for just a second. There he is now, just walking slowly.
And there's a person in the orange right there behind.
Oh, yeah, so I don't think they're involved. It doesn't appear that's the case. Now we lost him. So we're looking at the vehicle, and there for the moment we go back up, and we don't, we're back. We're going to have to re-rack that tape if we can. There you go. I think they're bringing people out of the sky zone. So there's our video. We really didn't see him past that point.
No, but see the orange person still walking. That's why I'm saying there was somebody that saw where he went. I'm not saying that person was involved, but that person was on the sidewalk, walks around, and you could still see them in your video. So it's not as if there's no eyes on the ground. There was somebody that saw where he went, and that person was on the phone, and now you look like it's got some guys more actively.
Well,
they might be just clearing the zone.
On the sky zone, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. They're clearing the sky zone. You may be absolutely right. It's impossible to know, but when they when they talked to the woman in the orange sweatshirt, if she had said, "Hey, the suspect's in the sky zone," they would have poured into the sky zone. She may have said that, and then they said, "Hey, let's just surround everything and look in the bushes as well."
Well, but Scott, oddly enough, it seems this person right here is wearing orange as well. So orange might be people who work there, because the person on the phone that we saw walking up was a man. So, and then the second person was a female in orange. So there are a lot of people around here in orange. I'm just saying that it did look as if somebody had eyes on him and at least could give some sort of progress to the authorities as to where he might have gone. They're not, I'm like you, they don't know for sure, it doesn't seem. But there were at least enough people around there that they're going to have information.
Yeah, they're going to clear the sky zone. If the suspect's in there, they're going to get him. There's no question about that. Like I said, we're pretty sure that they know who they're looking for, since it was an undercover type operation with a gang unit from the LA County Sheriff's Department. That's the vehicle on the right there. Open up a little bit. That truck, that truck was cooking. Initially, that truck was right behind the Audi that was traveling up above 100 miles an hour. But eventually, the suspect just drove so quickly that the sheriff's deputy driving that undercover vehicle was unable to stay behind him safely, and then they got the helicopter overhead. But it certainly looks like they believe the suspect is inside the sky zone. They've got to evacuate everyone. They're probably talking to everyone who comes out. Did you see a guy matching this description? Did you see somebody run in here or walk in here at this time? There may be cameras that they can get access to. It's unclear exactly how quickly they could do that, but they're going to clear the sky zone. They're focusing a lot of their attention on the sky zone, so you very well be right. Maybe that woman works here or that man works here, and they said, hey, the individual went inside. It looks like that's where they're focusing most of their attention now.
Well, it is quite, it's a much better development for the person to be walking and running around, because while you were covering it, Scott, that Audi, they were motoring. They were using that vehicle for all of the performance skills that it has, and there were times when you at 100 miles an hour took an off ramp over a couple of lanes and, nearly clipping people. I didn't see any accidents, though, so that was good news. But that vehicle was motoring at such a speed, everybody was at risk.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Boy, there were a couple of close calls. There's no question in through one intersection. It seems like just missed by inches, if you will. But you can see the sheriff's deputies are now getting their, their bulletproof vests on, getting suited up, and now they're really going inside, and they're slowly going to make sure they clear the sky zone, and time will tell whether or not the suspect is actually inside. But it looks like that they believe that he is at this point in time. But it was really difficult for the unmarked vehicles. That big truck. I mean, it's not a big truck, but that good size, full size pickup truck was difficult for them to keep up with that Audi, because that Audi was really cooking at probably 120 miles an hour or even more on the freeway. We didn't have the sky tracker on, or speed tracker on, but boy, it's pulling away from us, and that's saying something.
And Scott, we're going to stick with this for about 2 minutes now. We're going to follow this up until about 10:40 to see if we can find a way that they might be able to take him into custody in the sky zone. That's the vehicle right there. Not a lot of damage to it after it very slow rolled into that post. This is a robbery suspect. And Scott, you had mentioned that they were already probably surveilling him even before the chase began. And that kind of explains why this many officers were able to get on scene so quickly. They were ready to go when this chase started.
Yeah, I believe that's the case, Philip. If you've got undercover units following you, more than likely, and they're from the gang unit with the LA County Sheriff's Department, they want that guy. It's not like somebody just failed to yield. It's somebody that they've been following, surveilling, and now they have a chance to take him into custody. So they're going to do everything in their power to make sure they get this guy. I want to come out with a little bit of a wider shot and see if they're looking in the bushes as well. Right now, it looks like most of the search, though, is in the sky zone.
So we are looking at some of the presence that's in and around the sky zone. And again, this chase had been on the 405 quite a bit. It looks like you have some CHP officers that are up on the edge of the 405 freeway, kind of just making sure nobody is in the bushes. And so Scott, we're about 30 seconds away from wrapping this up. So do you have any final thoughts? We're going to, of course, cover this at 11 a.m. But do you have any final thoughts on this?
Well, nothing more than the fact that we're fortunate that no one was hit, because the vehicle was traveling at such a high rate of speed, coming out of the Compton area onto the 405, ending here at 190th and Western in the sky zone. We don't believe anybody's been hurt. Right now, they're inside the sky zone. They're trying to clear that. It's unclear whether the suspect is really inside, but they do have a search going on in the surrounding area. So traffic-wise, 190th and Western have both been shut down in this area.
Okay, Scott, thanks much. We'll return you to the stream and have the latest on Eyewitness News at 11 a.m.
All right, copy. Yeah. So let's re-rack that video, I guess, for the cut-in. Okay. Copy, thank you. Will bring me down up here. Copy that. Is it a cold open? Okay. It's a self-toss. Nobody interests me. Okay. And I've got a hard 30. Just give me a cue, and I've got the clock on. I'll hit it. Copy that. the robbery suspect for what we heard initially. I'm going on here in about a minute. Copy. Copy. All right, just give me a cue. I'm ready. I'm Scott Reifin here, 7HT over Torrance. Moments ago, we saw a suspect, or deputies believe they saw a suspect, run into the Sky Zone after the end of a pursuit. Now, we want to go to the end of this pursuit. They were pursuing an Audi. The Audi comes to a stop here, and the suspect walks out towards the Sky Zone. This robbery suspect was being followed by undercover gang unit deputies from the LA County Sheriff's Department. Come back out to a live shot. They're trying to search and clear the Sky Zone at the moment. Thank you. Okay, copy. Did they put Gardena up on the screen? It may be Gardena, but I mean, we've been calling it Torrance, and it's got to be right on the border, so kind of bizarre to change it. Okay, very good. All right, no worries. We're going to stream for another 15 minutes. All right, very good. Yeah, bring me down. All right, copy that. Thanks. Yeah, go. Copy that. You want to re-cue that video for me, Marcel? And lead me up, and I'll do a hit here. All right, video's ready. Here we go. We are looking down at the Sky Zone. This is actually 190th and Western in Gardena, borders Gardena and Torrance here, just south of the 405 freeway. We had a high-speed pursuit of a suspect driving a black Audi at a high rate of speed. There's a vehicle right now, right there. The suspect is said to be a robbery suspect, was being followed by robbery homicide gangland detectives from the LA County Sheriff's Department. That's one of their vehicles. A blue vehicle was one of the vehicles pursuing the suspect vehicle, as well as the vehicle you see right there initially. So we believe that the sheriff's deputies have a good idea, a good idea of who the suspect is. Right now, they believe the suspect is inside the Sky Zone, and at this point in time, they're just trying to clear it. More than likely, they're looking at surveillance cameras. They also called a canine to come in and make sure they can clear the Sky Zone. It was really kind of unclear whether or not the suspect went into the Sky Zone. It may have been a witness who saw that, but the sheriff's deputies were far enough behind, and the helicopter overhead really didn't get a good look. So now they're waiting for canine. Sheriff's deputies are inside the Sky Zone searching for this individual, said to be a robbery suspect, but because we believe the suspect was being surveilled by robbery homicide detectives, more than likely it's a suspect they've really been trying to capture for some point in time. We believe the individual was under surveillance. It did appear to be a man that was driving that vehicle, nonchalantly walked away, and then went inside the Sky Zone. So we're going to keep an eye on this for a bit. We don't believe there are any injuries or any accidents during the crash. At this point in time, we're just trying to get the suspect into custody peacefully. I guess you can re-rack the video, and I'll just do it again here in a couple minutes. All right, I'll do another one. Just get ready to roll the tape. I'm Scott Rife in Air 7 HD. We're over Gardena, over the Sky Zone at 190th and Western. Now, earlier this morning, there was a high-speed pursuit of a black Audi. You see the Audi right there on the curb. That's on Western here at 190th. You see it under the Highline wires. I will show you some video. It's a robbery suspect being followed by the gang unit, the LA County Sheriff's Department, in unmarked vehicles. Suspect came down 190th at this point in time, and then you see him slow and then get out of the vehicle, fell for a moment, but then nonchalantly sort of walked away. There was an LA County Sheriff's helicopter overhead. They did not actually see him for a moment. They lost him, but we believe a witness told the Sheriff's Department and the deputies that the suspect is inside the Sky Zone. So at this point in time, they're trying to clear it. We've seen a lot of people come out. More than likely, there are surveillance cameras inside. They have called for a canine unit to conduct the search to see if the suspect is actually inside the Sky Zone here. At a time of both 190th and Western, they'd shut down the surface streets. They have been reopened, so there's not much in the way of traffic consequences here. There was a search originally in some of the bushes and some of the side streets for the suspect, but at this point in time, they believe the suspect is barricaded inside the Sky Zone. We're going to keep an eye on this from the air. There were no accidents, as far as we know, involved in the actual pursuit, although, boy, it was at an extremely high rate of speed, well over 100 miles an hour on the 405 freeway and on high speeds on the surface streets. We saw a couple close calls, but we didn't see a collision. We don't believe that anyone's been hurt. Right now, Sheriff's deputies just methodically going to go through this large building. It's a pretty large structure if we pull out of this shot, the Sky Zone. So they got to search that entire structure to see if the suspect is actually inside. that is underway, but you can get through this area. They haven't shut down the surface streets, just the Sky Zone and the gas station next door. I'm Scott Reif in Air 7 HD. Am I up? So if you're with us online here, we've been following this story, and LA County Sheriff's deputies were searching the Sky Zone, but it looks like now they must have some information that the suspect is outside the Sky Zone. Moments ago, we saw a lot of LA County Sheriff's deputies run out into the parking lot. It's unclear exactly why they did that. Now, they ran out and then they stopped. It gave us an initial indication, we thought, or I thought, looking at this, that the suspect was possibly out here. There they go. Looks like they do have the suspect. So the suspect that led police on that high-speed pursuit, led LA County Sheriff's detectives, gang unit detectives in unmarked vehicles on a high-speed pursuit along the 405 freeway, onto surface streets and down into the Gardena area, is now in custody. We believe they knew who the suspect was. These were gang unit deputies, from what we understand, and most cases the individuals are under surveillance when we see unmarked vehicles in pursuits like this. So the suspect is in custody. No one was injured as far as you know, so that is good news. From Air 7 HD, I'm Scott Reif, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.